Okay, guys, so today I'm going to review viewer submissions for White Forest decks, and I got a lot more submissions that I thought I was going to get. And so, even though I know a lot of people typed out, like, spent time typing out some thought process behind it and card choices and stuff like that, this video would take a very long time if I read through every single bullet point and responded to it. So, I'm going to try to more go over the deck lists and see if there's any like very important points I can speed read that's important for the deck and just like give general feedback as I go through. Also, I think there may be some relevant changes to make to the actual like base understanding of the deck based on some new stuff in info. I'm not sure if these no, I don't think any of the cards are in Omega yet, but there's a level 2 tuner Zappy Shrimp, and then there is the level 6 like contact fusion. So I actually think someone posted about the Zappy Shrimp here, or Zapper Shrimp. So this card is a level 2 Fish Synchro Tuner, so that means that you can special summon this off of Diabell. If this card is special summoned, you can, so this is optional, and that's important, send one other card from your hand or field to the graveyard, then target one spell or trap, doesn't have to be set, any spell or trap, your opponent controls, destroy it. And that's once per turn. And then, once per chain during your opponent's main phase, you can quick effect immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon using this card you control. So the thing is that Formula Synchron's first effect to draw isn't going to come up because we'll never synchro summon it, and the second effect is also locked to the main phase. So that means that the Zapper Shrimp, which has no other like important difference in attributes, it's also a light and a level 2, so it's not like you can make Chaos Angel with a dark or something. I think the Zapper Shrimp is just strictly superior. And also, if you watch some of my other videos, you may recall that I was even trying to make this very horrible line work where Diabell would bring out Wonder Magician, and Wonder Magician would synchro with a level 2 to go into Kui Belt for spot removal. Because against certain decks that have it's like pseudo floodgates, like Tenpai on Sanguine Summoning, where you can't like book their monsters or interact with what they're doing, and then they just like make Transcendent Dragon on a go battle phase and you just lose. I was trying to find an out to that, and the Kui Belt route was just like not effective. So this card is actually really good. I think it's quite a big deal, and it may make cards like this more attractive because you could play one Chaos Angel or two Chaos Angels, because obviously banishing is usually better than popping. You could play Chaos Angel and Satellite Warrior. Warrior is solid against decks that can't just use the resources that were popped, because Satellite will trade better. Like you'll get at least the 2 pops, maybe you might get 3, depending the order in which you resolve your cards. But Sinister Sovereign also would be quite useful for like simplified game states, where if you've cleared most of their board and you sit on this could be like a pseudo win well, not a win condition, but it would be like a way better Fenrir, basically. Yeah, I think we need to see, well, in Omega, they need to put in the new cards so that I can test with Fiendsmith. Maybe everyone will just play, not everyone, maybe a lot of people will play one Fiendsmith and Graver, because the deck, like playing the deck will become a lot cheaper if you're using the new level 6 fusion monster that I can't show because it's not an Omega. But yeah, anyhow, super quickly, just to say that people had asked me before, and I thought I would mention a basic base for White Forest Toy is something like maxing out on starters, playing additional copies of the tuners, because this is the only engine you have to rely on, probably maxing out on Legends, and probably maxing out on the toy engine with another Rota as well. You do have space for 18 hand traps. You can easily put in 3 Droll. You don't have to play Iris per se, but I like it in the hand trap build. You don't have to play the skill drain. These can make you go up to the 18 hand traps, and you have a lot of flexibility in the extra deck. No reason not to play Gallant, in my opinion. Rafflesia is solid, although, more of like a side deck type thing. So this is like a general palette that, for the people that were asking, you can think of building your deck if you just want to play like a pure version. Okay, on to the submissions. Let's check how I'm doing for time. 4 minutes in. Okay, let's try to be a little quick here. So I think this is a more budget approach to Whitewoods. So let's have a look. Main thing to note here is the use of Piri Rice Map. So if we look at this card, because I think some other people were playing this too. Here it is. So this card, at the start of your main phase, that's the only time it can be used, adds a monster with 0 attack from your deck to your hand, and you have your LP. But after adding it to your hand until the end of the next turn after this card is activated, you can't activate cards with that name until you normal summon it. And so that means that you can't really use it for Reset. You basically have to use it for Asteria. So I think if you're playing a pure version, it's fine to play this card, but I feel like 3 is kind of overkill. The chance of you drawing both is not super high, but the chance of you already having access to Astellar, the new name, through your combo is high. So I feel like 1 or 2 of these is probably okay, and that would make your breaker ratios better because you're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I feel like you should be sitting around 10 to feel a little more comfortable. I feel like 9 to 12 is the generally acceptable range, and you could bump that up by just cutting your Piri Rice maps. Your consistency goes down a little bit, but if you're playing Skill Drain, then you're playing Skill Drain over some other breakers. Although Skill Drain can be used going second, so I don't have like a huge problem with it. There is the Mud Dragon package here, and I think if you're not playing Fiendsmith and you feel like you want that utility of having an Omni Negate, it can also be like a pseudo win condition against decks that don't have an out. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't think it's optimal if you are not on a budget though. Also, I feel like the access is going to be hard to make with a bunch of materials to banish from the grave, because the only real thing you have here is Masquerena. But otherwise, I think the list looks decent. Okay, next one. So I actually appreciated this comment because this is very succinct and the questions are relevant. So first of all, not sure when Tri-Edge comes up. The main reason for Tri-Edge is I often found myself in positions where I wanted to go into Chaos Angel, and the other material that I would use had to be a non-tuner, because you can't use Arciela and also one of the tuners because they're both tuners. So I was often using like a toy soldier or a toy tank, and so I wanted a non-tuner 6 to go into it. And then, having a draw is like fine. So that was the main reason for playing it, but you could consider it a flex spot. You don't have to play it. It just would be a little bit harder to make Chaos Angel in awkward spots. Then he thinks Pot is good with Skill Drain, but can conflict with Arcia, now called Rusia. So the main thing here with Pot and Skill Drain is it's not really a problem with Rusia in terms of its extension. So just having a White Forest monster on the field to special summon this card from your hand is fine. You don't have to use the draw effect. Where it does really conflict, for example, you'll see in my combo video on how to do the Apo and Summon 5 without using your normal, that actually requires the draw effect as part of the combo because you're sending one of the toy monsters for the draw. Like, that's part of the setup, and obviously you can't do that even though you don't need the draw because you're under prosperity, so you can't even attempt to use the effect. But I think that that's like a very minor conflict, and I wouldn't worry too much about that. Generally, you're going to be way better off with breakers if you're also playing prosperity. So I think that's solid. If you are... So he thinks the Rabbit may come up but is worse than SP. First of all, if you are on a budget and you can't buy a Little Knight, Rabbit is actually a good alternative. Like, that's a solid replacement. The only thing is that drawing Azaroon or Silhouette going second bricks, but, the card itself is very strong, so I don't have a problem with that. Also, Silhouette has probably more utility than Azaroon, because I don't know what summons you really want to negate, whereas getting like a hot red type negate like Silhouette gives you, I think is solid. So I like that. I think Irish Sword Soul, because you're playing the Crimson Dragon package, is okay. It's always better with hand traps because you always want to get it on the board and draw 2 if you're playing a hand trap build. But otherwise, I think this looks fine. I probably would want to play a little bit more breakers. Like, maybe I'll take out the Called By. And see, the thing is, if you're playing Skill Drain, it's always going to be hard to fit in the right amount of cards to make you feel comfortable going second. But yeah, it looks fine so far. This one is a bit of a unusual take. So this is using the Wanted engine. And my main issue with the Wanted engine is that even though those cards are extremely powerful, the payoff in Whitewoods is kind of janky. Well, at least right now, before Rage of the Abyss comes out, which is like in October for us, so that's very far away. I don't think Whispers of the Sinful Spoils is a good enough card to play, basically. And so I feel like it almost defeats the purpose of the engine. If you look at this card, So you can special summon this card from your hand by sending a card from your hand or field to the grave. This is not cost, so this will not trigger the Whitewood stuff. Obviously, so these cards, the toy cards just say, wait, where is it? If the set card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon it. So it does trigger those, but it doesn't trigger the Whitewood stuff. So you just have to remember that. But one of the main advantages of playing this card is that it makes Selene way better. In the normal White Forest toy, you actually struggle quite often to have enough spells for Selene to be live, and so this changes that and makes it so that going into Apo or Access Code is way better. So that's like the main thing of note. Okay, here's Runic. Honestly, I have not tested the Runic stuff much just because I don't like Runic, but one thing that I thought was cool about this build is that he's, instead of playing Reframing, he's playing Breakheart. So target a tuner or synchro monster in your graveyard, we have tons of those, special summon it. Then, if you special summon a light monster, you can destroy one monster your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to, and that doesn't target. And then there's like a protection effect for Visa Starfrost. So that's kind of like a cool card. I think you're at, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, so you have enough, you definitely have enough Runic cards here, but I'm kind of confused by the ratios. I feel like, I don't know why you would play like 2 Rusia and 2 Sylvie instead of playing more of the actual starters. And I don't know why you would play 2 Primera instead of like a Emblema. So yeah, I don't really understand the starter ratios there, and I feel like if you're on a Runic version, you still need like a critical mass of your White Forest engine for you to even draw it enough, and for them not to just be like one of cards on their own. Okay, here's a Pure Take here. So let's see. He says he's worried about Visas in the extra deck, but he likes the counter trap, and he wants to make room for Vorp Gate because Yubel's a problem. So Yubel is very difficult to beat and will become extremely difficult to beat post Fiendsmith. One card that I covered in my tech video is Packbit, which it seems like every White Forest build in the OCG is playing because it's easier to make than Vorpgate. But Vorpgate is an actual blowout, whereas Packbit is more just like you're trading, and then if you're also on the Synchro 12 cards, you could ladder into it. Or if you're on the Centurion cards, you might get additional value out of this card by being able to cycle better through those cards. So if you're playing a Centurion build, I think maybe you go Packbit over Vorpgate, but otherwise Vorpgate definitely has much more impact in that game. Yeah, otherwise in terms of the ratios, let's see. If you're playing that many hand traps, you could go all the way and turn the skill drain into hand traps. Although, let's see, you could add a Rota here to get a little bit more engine. One of the things that you have to remember when you're not playing other engines is that you like actually need your stuff to be gas all the time. Okay, so next one is using a Centurion package, and he says the package is a bit bigger than he was hoping for. And he says that SP is too expensive. So okay, let's have a look here. First of all, I'm pretty sure that Devil of the White Woods here, or the White Forest, is a Rage of the Abyss card. So just in case that was confused with coming in info, that is not coming in info. So I wouldn't test this unless, like, if you want to test Rage of the Abyss, there's no reason not to test other Rage of the Abyss cards, like the Azamina stuff, or the newly released, the new Malcharmi monster, which is similar-ish to Maxi, that is probably going to be in everyone's deck now. I think, so I've mentioned in a previous video that Wake Up is a horrible card, but it does add ceiling, and I prefer to side the Wake Up in my like larger package Centurion version. I also even side the Phalanx, and I take out Breakers when I'm going first and put them in, but you can main them if you're really committing to the Centurion bit. However, I don't see any reason for you to play more than one Primera and more than one Trudea if you haven't even maxed out on Stand Up yet. Stand Up is a far better card because these are normal summons. Drawing multiple normal summons, you can still only normal summon once, whereas this card gets you whatever you're missing. So this is both a starter and extender, and it makes it a fundamentally better card. So if you do want to play a larger Centurion engine, even though you're already on triple Emblema, Wake Up, Phalanx, at least max out on the stand-up before these cards. Also, I would definitely take out a Trudea and a Primera, and that would put you at 40, and then take out the Devil, because that's not coming out yet, which will put you at 39, and add in a stand-up. That's probably the easiest way to change this. Okay, next one. So this is an OCG list. Now, OCG lists are really strange because Maxi exists, and so you're basically forced into a horrendous hellscape of a game that no one should ever have to play. And you main cross out and call by in every single deck that exists, and you hope that you draw one of those or Ash Blossom so you don't instantly lose to Maxi. So I hate the OCG for having Maxi. So these lists are always going to look a little bit strange, and I'm not super familiar with the OCG meta, to be honest. But I think that aside, the only thing that I wonder about is why not play a third role? I don't know if that is like differently effective in the OCG, but I feel like if we're in a Fiendsmith meta, then the third role might be good. Okay, so here's this one. Again, with the runic stuff, I'm not super familiar with it. The one engraver, I don't know if you were proxying the newly released card or not, but the one engraver may become somewhat standard with that new level 6 Necro Quip, or whatever it's called, fusion monster. So that could be a thing. You are on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I think you need at least one more runic card to be feeling more comfortable with your runic draws. 18 is generally the standard number for that. So I would say you need to maybe, you could cut stand up by 1 and put in another runic card, maybe. Okay. Now he's saying he's alternating between a few different builds with a Centurion, with Fiendsmith and hand traps, or with breakers, and he's thinking about going to the NAWCQ, leaning towards Fiendsmith. I'm struggling to attack over Skull Guardian. Okay, so let's see. So hand trap build here with, wait, is this 2 LZ? I feel like LZ is actually almost in a way, like Asteria is obviously in a vacuum better because it gives you more stuff and it special summons from deck, but LZ is just such a solid, it's not only a starter and an extender, but it's a solid extender. It's like a almost like a get out of jail free card for if you get stopped with stuff. I guess if you're packing in all this stuff, it makes sense that you want to cut down on the toy engine, but I would probably value the third LZ over the Wake Up because the Wake Up is just a bad card to draw. Okay, next one. I wonder if there's a particular reason for the DD Crow over Bestials. Like, if this is mostly for Fiendsmith, you'd probably want to play the Bestials, and that also makes you able to go into a Light Dark Chaos Angel, so that your little knight will be protected from battle. So I'm curious if there's a reasoning for that. I don't think that you need to play 2 Rusia when you're mixing a bunch of different engines together. And I would only suggest here that if you cut stuff like a Rusia, or you play that level 6 new fusion and you cut your engravers to 1, you could add in you could add in more non-engine, or you could add in Emblema Oath to make your Centurion engine better. Yeah, and then was this the same one I just looked at? Oh, this is the breaker version. Okay. Okay, so here's another OCG. Oh no, is this? No. This is just a regular one. So this one has in the Witchcrafter stuff, which I honestly don't know what those cards do, so I can't really comment too much on that. But I don't think that you need to be playing Beware in the main deck. If you really want to play it, you could side it at 1 for going second. But I think this card is just not good because you need not only a spellcaster, but it has to be level 6 or higher. So I just don't think this card is worth it. And I also have found that you definitely, if you're playing like another engine as well, I mean, I guess if they're spellcasters, Legends becomes a better card, so I guess I won't really complain too much about that. I don't think that the final Sigma is needed. I'm curious if there's a particular reason for that. But, you know, Packbit, okay, that's cool to see. Okay, Dogmatica Ritual OTK. So I have not looked at these cards in a very long time, but I know that Dogmatica Matrix is supposed to be a broken card. Again, I don't know why you'd play Beware, especially in the main. I feel like you could definitely side that card if you really want to play it. I don't play it at all. The 2 Rice map, let's see, does that make sense? So we have 1 Rusia and 3 Sylve. I feel like if you're committing to the Dogmatica stuff, it maybe makes more sense to play a third Ecclesia instead of the three Sylvie. But otherwise, this is a lot of breakers. And if you're not playing the toy engine, I feel like droplets is probably not worth it. You're also main decking reframing, so brick going second, beware brick going first. I probably would not play the droplets in a build that doesn't have the toy engine. Okay, now here is White Forest Centurion. Let's see anything of... So this one, I don't understand exactly the play. So using the Grand Guignol package to play through Nib. I don't actually know what that is, what that play is. And then pack bid is flex for Yubel, could be Granite, but game plan is Calamity. So searching Nib is not as beneficial on top. Okay, so let's see. 3 Oath, 3 stand up, 1 Trudea, 1 Premier. That's excellent. I think those are the correct ratios if you want to go for a big engine. Let's count hand traps. So 3 Imperm, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15 is the magic number with Bystials, which should be good in a Yubel and Fiendsmith meta. So I like that. And if you're on 3 Bystials, 1 Magnitude Juris surely is the correct way to do it. So cutting down on the toy cards, which is, you know, understandable, but still staying on the 3 box. I don't think that you need to play in this type of build. I don't think that you need to play 2 Legend, but it does come up when you have already gone through your searches and you, for example, like bring out a Sylvie on your opponent's turn, and it feels bad if you have nothing to search. So I think this is okay, but it's not like, I don't know if it's correct or not per se, but I think this list looks pretty solid. This is probably my favorite list so far that's been submitted. Aside from that, I don't know what the Dust Dragon play is, and also I don't know, is a Lulu Wallolith necessary? I'm not sure, because there's also like the like red. What's that card called? I forgot what it's called. The Red Dragon, Archfiend or something. I don't play this card anymore. Well, you guys know what I mean. It's the one that banishes everything. I can't find it. So, okay. Now we are looking for White Forest post Rage of the Abyss based on what we know. Okay, so this is very far away for the TCG, but it is this month for the OCG. Okay, so double Piri Rice map. Okay, the thing about droplets, right, is if you are on a large toy engine, that's better for droplets, and the more cards you have that you can chain droplets to, like Legend or things that still have utility in the grave, like Black Goat's Laugh, makes droplets better. So I don't hate droplets in a version like this, where you could be setting cards with Toy Box, starting your play and then activating Legend and then droplets and sending Legend and the Toy Box stuff. Like I don't hate that, but I don't think there's not like really inherent synergy with the deck with Droplet, but this list has more stuff that you can chain to with Droplet, like even Prosperity, so it's like not the worst thing in the world. I do like Super Poly. The only reason I don't play it more is because usually the extra deck space is super tight with when you're playing other engines. This one is interesting because in the TCG, we know that we're going to have a ban list before Rage of the Abyss, and we don't know what the wanted engine is going to look like. I was looking at this on a probability calculator before, and I am not sure what the correct ratio would be if we were playing the wanted stuff, because if you're searching for, or if you're relying on hard drawing Deception, so this is the broken card that can be splashed in like any deck to go into the Azamina stuff for free, basically, or almost for free. It's only a third of your games that you're going to see it. And so obviously, if you add in these cards, which all search this card, then being able to start your turn with an Omni Negate or something that sends a card and then like helps you with card economy is extremely good. Now, Wanted is just an inherently better card than Black Witch because it puts itself in the grave and potentially gives you a draw later. So I feel like 3 Wanted and 1 Witch or 2 Witch could possibly be better. Playing Legend at 3 when you have much more easy access to spellcasters, I think is solid. It's one of the few times where I feel like it makes sense to play Legends at 3. You also even could consider siding, not necessarily maining the Beware, because it will be way easier to use that card. in this type of deck. I generally don't think Beware is a good card, but if you were going to play it, this would probably be a build that you could play it in if you were going second. I don't think that you need to play the third Sylvie if you're on 41, so I feel like you could go to 40. I'm not 100% sold on the droplets, but I think everything else looks pretty solid. Yeah, okay. Okay, moving down, so apparently this build is called God Has Forsaken Us. And what is his extra deck at 14? Oh, it's the Necroquip Princess, so I guess it's just not loaded in yet. So that means... I mean, honestly, you could play one Engraver. You don't have to play three Engravers if you're going to be on that card. But, you know, obviously hard drawing it feels good because it means that you can just choose to start with that engine or you have it as like a backup. You don't have to go through Closed Heaven. So I don't think that it's wrong to play three Engraver. It's probably just better because the card is broken than going into it with Necroquip, but you have more options. Okay, so one Legend, three Soldier, two Tractus. Okay. Let's see, how many breakers do we have? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think that's a fine number. I don't know that this version has a lot of stuff you want to send off of Droplet besides the toy cards. So I feel like I'm less sold on the droplets here. I feel like those could be like a Super Poly or Thrust or something. Even I almost might prefer like Raigeki to droplets if the only thing you can send is the toy stuff. But that's a pretty cool list. Okay, he says the last spot is the Zapper, so that's cool. So what's he making with it? It looks like just the Chaos Angel. So no other. Oh wait, what's the what does this card do? Let me. Okay, there we go. So a Fish Tuner. +1/+ non-tuner monsters. The original attack of this card becomes 500 times the number of banished monsters. Okay, if this card is synchro summoned during your opponent's turn, you can banish all cards on the field. During the standby phase of the next turn after this card was banished from the monster zone, you can special summon this banished card. So when it comes back, it won't do it again because it's only when it's synchro summoned. Banish all cards on the field. You know what is actually crazy about this card? So I think I would normally say that that is gimmicky, and I would just not do that, and I would stick to like Chaos Angel or Satellite Warrior or Sinister Sovereign. The new card that I don't think was released at the time this was posted is a new Mulcharmy card that says that you have to control no cards. Does this banish every card on the field? Hello, please stop messing with me. There we go. Banish all cards on the field. So this card, this hand trap, the new Mulcharmy Fuaros, something like that, you have to also control no cards. So it's like so this is the one that we already knew was coming out in Infinite Forbidden. So this one is basically the same. The new one, Fuaros, instead of each time your opponent normal or special summons from the hand, it's every time they special summon from the deck or the extra deck. So it's actually insane. But you have to control no cards. It's something that could honestly go into everyone's main deck or at least everyone's side deck because it's so insanely broken. It does benefit Tenpai more than everyone, but it's so broken that probably everyone will have to have a playset of that card. So this new Mulcharmy Fuaros, you could happily main deck that card in this deck if you were planning on playing this Goatee card. That's actually very interesting. So I know this list was posted before that card was revealed, but I think that's actually worth me maybe including in the next video because that's an insane interaction. Okay. Again, so droplets here, at least there's some more stuff you can chain it to, like Rota, Thrust, Talents, Prosperity, in addition to just the toy stuff. So I like the droplets more here than in some other lists, but okay. And okay, that's basically it. So how am I doing for time? 29 minutes. Okay, so that's my review so far of everything that people have submitted. And I am definitely going to look into applications of the Fish Zapper stuff with this new Mulcharmy thing. Well, it's pretty simple, really. But I don't want to focus too much on Rage of the Abyss because that is not going to be out for a while. The cool thing about playing White Forest is that we know none of our cards are going to get hit. So after the next ban list, we could be looking at potentially contending for Tier 1 status. So anyhow, thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any suggestions. And that's it.